My name is Kelly O2, and I'll be entertaining you tonight, this afternoon, with resources that you can use to learn English. I am very happy to be with you, though I cannot see you. You can see me, fortunately. Let me tell you a bit about me. I'm working in the English language office in the U.S. Embassy, Moscow. I was a teacher, an English teacher, for about 20 years. I taught in the United States and also overseas. And now I mostly work with teachers. And so I hope there are many English teachers in this audience today. I also hope there are many Access students. And Access students, you know exactly who you are. And I greatly welcome you to this conversation tonight. The objective today is just to show you some resources that you can use to study English, to learn English, and that also you can either use alone or with your family. I think doing things as a family is very important right now, and so there are many resources you can use for that. I've got my notes in my lap, so that's why I'm looking down. Yeah, so then that's why my eyes are there. All right, let's go to the first slide. Should be up. My name is there. And we can go to the second slide now. The second slide is the website where I'm getting all the information from. So americanenglish.state.gov. There is a lot of information here, so many resources. If you're interested in anything that I'm talking about, the most important thing for you to do is write down the title. When you write down the title of the resource, you'll be able to put that in the search box, and you can see the search box on the the slide that you're looking at. In the upper right-hand corner. And so in that way, you can get that resource immediately. Yeah, I think if you're an English teacher, then there's so many resources for you, but that's a whole other webinar. And then maybe we can break it into 2 webinars, online resources for professional development, and also resources that you can use in the classroom. Anyway, as I said, those are different webinars, so maybe we'll be able to do that soon. Let's go to the next slide. Online English language materials. This is just a portion of what we offer. When you look at these books that are available, you can see that many of them are fiction. But we also have dictionaries there, idiom dictionaries, we have jokes, we have a whole book for games. And we also have, as I said, things for teachers. And so lots of different resources that you can use alone or with the family. For reading, for playing, for joking. You can memorize the jokes for when school starts again, and then play them on all of your friends. All right, let's go to the next slide. The next slide, this is from the lighter side of TEFL, and this is the joke book, the Word Playbook. So it's very important, if you want to find this again, that you make note of the lighter side of TEFL. And then you can search that at americanenglish.state.gov. This is something to do for the family. So this is a word play. So 4 letters in common. You can see there are some definitions here, 8 definitions. And all of them, the answer is a 5-letter word, and the last 4 letters are the same. It's the first letter that changes. So what are those words? We'll wait for just a moment as you guess. All right, let's see. What do you have for number one? Power. Five-letter word. The last four letters are all the same. Any guesses? Do you want to put these in the comment box and let me know? So we're waiting for you to put in some answers. Maybe you don't know all of them. You can write any of the ones you know. And then by the end, we'll have all of them. I'm not seeing any correct ones yet. A five-letter word, and all of these definitions, each one has the same final four letters, but the first letter is different. Anyone else want to write down the first one, second one, third one? These are definitions. Ah, I see some good ones. I see number one, power is might. Someone else put number four, light. What are some other answers? What's a word for vision? Or opposite of loose? Oh, I see lots of good answers. So number six, not day, is night. Number two, vision, is sight. All right, excellent. The best one, and the one that gave it away for me immediately, was the last number. Number 8, the number of this clue, which is 8. As soon as I read that, then I realized what the five-letter word was, and then what the last four letters were, and how to find the first ones. So there are a lot of fun games in the lighter side of TEFL that you could look at. Let me go through all of these just so you know, but again, you can find it by yourself. Everything is free on americanenglish.state.gov. Number one, power, is might. Number two, vision, is sight. Number three, opposite of loose, is tight. Number four, not dark, is light. Number five, the opposite of wrong, is right. Number six, not day, is night. Number seven, contend, struggle, fight. And number eight, the number of this clue, 8. All right, so they should rhyme, shouldn't they? But their English gets in the way. All right, let's go to the next slide. Literature. Literature is available both in audio and print. And so with the literature available, you can do it alone or you can do it with your family. Again, we will have a little, let's see, we'll have a little pause. But let's go to the next slide. I want to show you what one of the print books looks like. Printed books looks like. This is Mark Twain. This is from his autobiography. And this is chapter 1. You can read a little of it, but you can download chapter by chapter, or you can download the whole book in printed form and also in audio form. And so I want you to, we're going to listen to this so you can hear what the audio is. But before we do, while we're listening, I want you to listen for the jokes. Mark Twain is a humorous writer. He also writes about some serious things, but mostly he's known as a humorous writer. And so in chapter 1, it's not very long, there are several jokes that he tells. So I want you to listen for those, and then I want you to write those down in the chat box. What are the jokes you hear? We also have, well, I'll talk about this later. So why don't we roll the audio now for chapter 1 and listen to it.
Chapter 1. I was born the 30th of November, 1835, in an almost invisible village of Florida, Missouri. My parents removed to Missouri in the early 30s. I do not remember just when, for I was not born then and cared nothing for such things. The village contained 100 people, and I increased the population by 1%. It is more than many of the best men in history could have done for a town. There's no record of a person doing as much, not even Shakespeare. But I did it for Florida. Recently, someone in Missouri has sent me a picture of the house I was born in. Heretofore, I have always stated that it was a palace, but I shall be more careful now. The village has 2 streets, each a couple of 100 yards long, covered with stiff black mud in wet times, deep dust in dry. Most of the houses were of logs. There were none of brick and none of stone. There was a log church, which was a schoolhouse on weekdays. There were 2 stores in the village. My uncle owned one of them. It was very small, with a few rolls of cloth, a few barrels of salt fish, coffee and sugar, brooms, axes, and other tools here and there. A lot of cheap hats and tin pans strung up from the walls. At the other end of the room, there were bags of shot, a cheese or 2, and a barrel or so of whiskey. If a boy bought 5 or 10 cents worth of anything, he was entitled to a handful of sugar from the barrel. If a woman bought a few yards of cloth, she was entitled to some thread. If a man bought something, he was at liberty to swallow as big a drink of whiskey as he wanted.
All right, what were some of the jokes that you heard him talk about? Maybe you can put 1 or 2 words into the chat box. While you're doing that, I'll also say that there are many other books by Mark Twain, also Edgar Allan Poe, and Raggedy Ann. Raggedy Ann is a book that maybe parents could read to their kids in English. These books are called ladder series, and so they're not, we can say they're abridged, they're revised or changed so that they only use a certain number of words. Some use 1,000 words in English, some use 2,000 or 3,000. And in this way, it's easier to read, so you don't find unknown words every other word or every third word. Instead, you can follow along with the story much better. And so some of the jokes, one person said, yes, his house. His house was, it was quite large, he thought, when he was a child. And then he sees it, and in the picture is very, very small. That's a very funny joke, and one that I had experience with also when I went to visit my house that I grew up in. Anyone else have a joke that they found? There are a few more jokes in there. I hope if you don't write them down, at least that you laughed at them. My favorite was that, let's wait, there's maybe another comment coming. The village, yes. Growing up in the village, and the village store was there. Also, the village that he enlarged by 1%. Amazing. In that 1%, he compared himself to Shakespeare, who is also a very, very well known writer. And when we compare Shakespeare and Twain, who is more famous? Shakespeare. So Twain was trying to compare himself with a world famous person, Shakespeare, who was both funny and serious. All right. So there is a lot of jokes in there, and this is just the first chapter. Another person said whiskey. Absolutely, that's another very funny joke in there. All right, let's continue. Let's go to the next slide. In the next slide, this is about games. And so if you're interested in doing this, especially with your family, with your brothers or sisters, with your friends online, then you want to remember activate games for learning American English. And that's the title of this one. Activate games for learning English. As you look at the slide, you can see that there are board games that you can play. There are easier board games that recall, maybe you need just one word. And there's other board games where you need to create a whole sentence or a series of sentences for the answer. There are word bricks that you can download and cut out and use for games. In the middle bottom of the slide, you'll see the guess what cards, and we can play a few with these. And there are many, many instructions online that you can download. And in addition to the game that you see and that you play, there are many revisions or variations, adaptations that you could also play with the same cards, with the same board game. So that's very important. And for this, again, playing with your family, with your brothers and sisters, and also playing with your friends online is a very good way to pass the time and learn English at the same time. All right, so remember the title, Activate Games. So what I want to do, this may not work so well with the chat box, but we can try. What I have in front of me right now are these cards. And so we've got very specific things at the bottom, and then we've got a general category in the top. I can make this a little closer for you. So again, at the zoo is the general category, and we've got specifics down there. What I'm going to do is read the specific words, and you tell me where or what. Again, because we have a little lag between the audio and the comment section, maybe I'll read through a few, and then we can get the answers to the first ones. All right, I see in the comment section that you already know these games, so maybe I should just move on. No, just kidding. I'll continue. All right. These are all about creative thinking. And creative thinking is very important as we learn to think better. When we think better, we can solve problems either alone or collaboratively, and that's pretty important. All right, so let me look at these. How about give me the general category, I'll give you the specifics. So the first one, apples, tomatoes, stop sign, roses, blood, strawberries. What is the general category for that? Again, apples, tomatoes, stop sign, roses, blood, strawberries. This card right here has a 1+, which means it's more for a beginner, and the words on there are also for beginners. So when you know the answer, put it in the chat box, and I'll continue with another one. This is the second one. Camels, cactus, sand, snakes, oasis, pyramids. All right, the second one is camels, cactus, sand, snakes, oasis, pyramids. The first one, we have the answer. Two great people, teachers of course, said things that are red. Absolutely. So all of those things that I listed were red. And in the second one, do we have an answer yet? The second one, the desert. Absolutely. You would find all these things in the desert. All right, I'm going to go to some more difficult ones. And these are more difficult because the words are at a higher level. And so, let's see. All right. Where is this? This is a whole new category. Yoga, locker room, treadmill, swimming pool, weight room, sauna. Where is it? Yoga, locker room, treadmill, swimming pool, weight room, sauna. Where is that? And when you think about that, I'll go on to the fourth card. Again, this is at a little higher level. Running, gardening, biking, skiing, fishing, sailing. What are these? Running, gardening, biking, skiing, fishing, sailing. What are these? All right, we may be getting some answers to the first card. The first card, yoga, locker room, treadmill, swimming pool, weight room, sauna. It's my house. No, just kidding. Oh my goodness, that would be wonderful. Many people put it's the gym. Absolutely, that's the gym. Yoga and a gym. Well, all right. And now the second card. Running, gardening, biking, skiing, fishing, sailing. It's very hard to say all those at the same time. Where would, yes, where is that? I should say, what are they? But maybe where helps the answer. All right, I I see hobby, spare time, nature, leisure. Nature is the closest. That's not exactly the answer, but it's very close. Running, gardening, biking, skiing, fishing, sailing. I do like the answer nature. The answer on the card is outdoor activities. So these would be happening outdoors instead of something like inside. Some could be inside, running or biking if you have the equipment. Sailing, that might be difficult in the bathtub. All right, I'll go on. One more now. One more, and this is the one of the hardest ones. Um, all right, what are these? Plans, decisions, phone calls, money, beds, mistakes. What are these? Plans, decisions, phone calls, money, beds, mistakes. What are these? All right, while you think about that, we will continue on. When your family or friends are done with all of these, with all of these cards, then very important is you can make your own. And so you use a piece of paper, you write down the general category, and then you write down the more specific things underneath there. So you can easily continue this game even though you know all of the cards by making your own. All right. Not too many of people have put up the right answer yet. I've seen business, work, or hopes. Excellent. Especially in the current circumstances. All right. You also see the sun shining in on me, which is wonderful. I don't want to close the drapes because the sun has been beautiful these last 3 or 4 weeks when we've been inside. And so I want to get it every chance I can. Oh my goodness, I see the correct answer. The correct answer for plans, decisions, phone calls, money, beds, and mistakes are things that you make. Things that you make. You make plans, you make decisions, you make phone calls, you make money, you make your bed, and you make mistakes. Very good answers there on the chat room. All right, let's continue on with something else in Activate. So we will stay in Activate because there are so many games here. And so now we're going to move on to the board games. Let's go to the next slide. The whole board game didn't fit on the slide, and so I had to cut off the top, unfortunately. But this board game is called What Might You Find? What might you find? This is definitely a game that you can play with your whole family. All you need is one die or dice, and you can even make that yourself. There are many plans online that you can cut out and tape and then put a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 on it, and you've got everything you need. So this is called What Might You Find? This one is for beginners of English. So the vocabulary that you need is not so much in order to play this game, but even an advanced person can play this game with some of the variations to make it more fun. So what might you find, number 3, in the ocean? Put some answers in the chat box. Also, number 5, what might you find at the beach? And to make it more fun, you see number 13, what might you find? Ouch! Go back 8 spaces. Oh, that's terrible. But hopefully someone will land on that so someone else can win. All right, what might you find? So you can go through this whole game with your family. You get coins or you get something else that all of you can use as a marker. And you can go through, and whoever wins then gets the extra dessert at night. Oh no, someone answered, what might you find in the ocean as plastic? But that's so true. As we work to clean up the environment, definitely, we don't want to see plastic in the ocean. Garbage, yes, but a better answer, fish. Absolutely, we can see some fish in the ocean. Yay. All right, at the beach, another one, in a safe. What might you find in a safe? And while those answers are coming in, let's go to the next slide. These are variations that you can use, either again with your family, or if you're a teacher, you can use it with your students. So these are variations with grammar and also variations with creative thinking. So the first variation is not what might you find in the ocean, number 3, but what might you find in the ocean in 100 years? And so the directions for this, as you can read, have students say what they might find in these places 100 years in the future. So as a teacher and as a student, a learner, you can use the modals may, might, could. And then the player talk, this is an answer that you could use, and the grammar along with it. In the desert or in the ocean, in 100 years, you may find more something. In the ocean, I would say, in the ocean, in 100 years, I may find more fish. Because I hope that through our taking care of the environment, then our oceans get refilled again. All right, we have at the beach or in the ocean, we have seaweed, excellent. Documents, interesting. Money or a gun in a safe with documents also. So nobody answered at the beach, really. Garbage, maybe that was at the beach. All right. Okay, so the one variation is looking towards the future, in the future. Another variation could be 100 years ago. And so in that, you can have the students answer what might they find, what might they have found 100 years ago. So it could be in a safe, it could be at the beach, it could be in the ocean. What might they have found? I think I'm going, unfortunately, to close the drapes. So I do have lines all over me. So it's time to, one moment while I step away and close it. Oh, that's so unfortunate, but all right, it'll look better that way. Wow, I can see myself. I hope I'm not too dark now. So what might you have found in these places 100 years ago? And again, in the directions, it gives the students and you to play with your family the language you can use. So 100 years ago in the USA, you might have found carts and horses on the streets, dirt roads, and top hats. When I was growing up in the United States, I actually lived on a dirt road right when it mattered, exactly when I was growing up. And so we were out on the road playing and eating fruit from the trees around and swimming in lakes. So dirt roads brings back many wonderful memories. All right, and there's a last variation too that you can play with this. So what you probably won't find, and that's now. So to make a variation on this, we want to look to the future, to the past, and also the negative of now. And all of these use different grammar points and different vocabulary. So that's just one game, but 4 ways to play it. Let's go to the next one. The next slide is another game that you can find. These are all available online, and you just type in activate games, and you can look for the board games, and they all come up. So the title of this board game is Which One Would the World Be Better Without, and Why? So there's the main way to play it is that, again, you land on each, you roll the die and then you move along and you want to get to the finish first. This one, you must use sentences and logic in order to win. So, for example, let's look at the second box. The second box is wine, money, books. Which one would the world be better without? Why? Well, many people enjoy drinking wine with dinner. People like to have a lot of money, and I love reading books. So which one would the world be better without? If I would have to say anything, I would say money. So let's leave wine and books there. For our enlightenment and our enjoyment, and then money is just a big headache. So we can take that out. When I explained that, you heard me say many sentences. Maybe the logic wasn't the best, but together then you can decide if somebody's answer works or if it doesn't work. So I want to choose a few more that we can play, but you understand that this is a little harder and it takes more English for you to give a correct answer. And a correct answer is just me giving the correct logic for why it is. But now I want to hear yours. And so again, we're going to have a lag between when I ask you and when the comments come up. So then I'll go back and forth a little. But I want you to look at one of the boxes. It says traffic, computers, and doctors. Traffic, computers, and doctors. Which one would the world be better without, and why? Traffic, computers, and doctors. If you follow the squares around, when you go up and then to the left again, I want to do another one. It is cities, mountains, and beaches. Cities, mountains, and beaches. Which one would the world be better without, and why? So traffic, computers, and doctors, and then cities, mountains, and beaches. All right, while we're waiting for information about that, or we can go to the first one, traffic, computers, and doctors. Does everybody agree that the world is better without traffic? Maybe that wasn't so much of a difficult one, but what about computers? Now that we're at home, I think we're on the computer all the time. I'm on the computer now. You're on the computer. Isn't it boring? Wouldn't you like to be in traffic now? No, just kidding. I think traffic might be it. The next one, cities, mountains, and beaches. One person said cities. And cities because of our current circumstances. So, right now, it is much better to be in the mountains and the beaches. I definitely agree with that, yes. Oh no, someone else said it's difficult to choose. Yes, I understand. All right, so it's all about your creative thinking with this. And again, the whole family can play together. Why? Because you need to do things together. You're in the same apartment or the house 24/7. And so having fun things to do together helps. All right, let's go to the next slide. And these are variations. So we've got some variations here for that board game. Which one would the world be better without? And so one variation could be ranking. You want your students or your family to rank which one. And then in this way, then there's no right answer or wrong answer, but they would explain what it would be. And the other one is they could create a very funny sentence with all three of those words together. So again, parents, you can help your kids maybe with some grammar, with some other vocabulary in this. But this is a good thing. Friends, you can do it online together. You all open up the same board. It's for free and you play together. So these are things to do with your family or friends. All right, let's go to the next slide. Empty, you all win. How about that? All right, this is a template. Again, once you play the board game and you're done with all the variations, then make up your own. You can make a truth or dare. Let's say dare, but not so bad because you're in the house with these people. So something, maybe activity, maybe it could be a physical exercise board game. And so when you land on a space, you have to do 10 sit-ups, or you have to run around the room 5 times. Or you have to do a yoga pose or something. It could be math problems, so you want to work on your math skills or multiplication. It could be as a family that you have to cook things. So it could be several very creative board games. And if you do create a creative board game, I would really like to know what it is, especially taking a picture of your family playing it and then sending it. That would be wonderful. All right, so many board games that are good for the whole family. It doesn't have to be 2 or 3 people. It could be 4 or 5 people playing. Let's go on to another one. Another set of resources are songs. So this, the family could do this, especially if you're parents with a young kid in the house, a young child. We have sing out loud children's songs. And then we also have sing out loud traditional songs. So these would be more for the kids. And parents, you can do this with your kids. There are many activities and exercises you can do with them. For teenagers and older, we've got this Sing Out Loud American Rhythms. So again, if you want to look these up later at americanenglish.state.gov, then you want to look up Sing Out Loud, and then either children's songs, traditional songs, or American rhythms. American Rhythms, you can do this with your friends online too. Access classes, these are good to do online together, and listening to them, and then the activities. So let's do a song that's on American Rhythms. And this song is called Breakfast, Lunch, and Dinner. As you can see on the next slide, and now I'm not sure which slide we're on, but I think it says the pre-listening and then 3 exercises, and then the listening 3 exercises. Is that correct?
Yes.
Awesome. All right. So there are so many activities that you can do with each song. And again, you may look at this like, oh, it has to be the teacher with the student, but no, it doesn't. It can definitely be a family doing this together. It can be friends doing this together. And so we have activities to do before you listen to the song. While you're listening, you can sing the song, or there are other variations you can do with the song. And then after you listen to the song, American Rhythms, all of the songs have very good messages, and messages about helping the environment, messages about making our lives better, by being more simple in our living. I can say it that way. There are many other ones. So looking at the climate, looking at the environment, looking at keeping ourselves motivated, keeping ourselves healthy, mentally and physically. And so this one is called Breakfast, Lunch, and Dinner. And let's go to the next slide. The next slide has the first activity that you can do. So you can see it tells you the level of English required. So this could be from beginner to advanced. It has the preparation and the materials, just like you're the teacher. It has the instructions. So you can read this, but what I want to ask you is, the title of the song is Breakfast, Lunch, and Dinner. What do you think the song is about? And this activity that we're looking at is all about prediction, which prediction is a type of creative thinking that we want our family, we want our friends to become better and better at. It will help them in school, it will help them in life. So creative thinking, thinking outside of the box, we say, in order to solve problems. So sometimes when you can't fight your way through something, you can think in a different way or creatively to solve it. And so with this, Breakfast, Lunch, and Dinner is the title. I'm going to add a little more to that. We can go to the next slide. And we see these pictures. I hope you're not hungry. Anyway, so we see these pictures. We know the title, Breakfast, Lunch, and Dinner. Now, what do you think the song is about? You have those two clues. That's it. Pretty soon we're going to listen to the song, but before that, what could this song be about? And some of you teachers out there, you know exactly what the song is about. So either you can answer for everyone else, or you can let other people answer who maybe don't know the song. I'm looking at the pictures now. I printed out the PowerPoint slides, and I don't know which looks best now. I have some water with me, so maybe the soda in the middle looked the best because I'm thirsty. That helps. But I always love chocolate, and so you have the chocolate and the chocolate cake, and ice cream once in a while is very good too. All right, so what do you think the song is about? Why don't you write down your predictions in the chat box? And what we're going to do now is listen to it. So let's listen to the whole song. But before we do, a little jump in here. This song is jazz. And if you don't listen to jazz, then one thing you should know is that jazz music really focuses on the instruments. And so we'll hear a lot of instruments here, as well as singing, but we'll hear a lot of instruments. And when you think the singing should start again, like it does in a pop song, you'll realize you're wrong, because the instruments are more important. All right, so let's listen to Breakfast, Lunch, and Dinner.
Y'all better eat your breakfast and eat your lunch and eat your dinner too. No more candy, no more cake, nothing but some good soul food.
We don't need no breakfast, lunch, or dinner. We can't wait for Halloween and Easter. We're gonna have a candy fiesta. We don't need no breakfast, lunch, or dinner.
That room and wash them hands and sit right down for dinner. Eat them potatoes and eat them chops. Now that's what I'm talking about.
We don't need no breakfast, lunch, or dinner. We can't wait for Halloween and Easter. We're gonna have a candy fiesta. We don't need no breakfast, lunch, or dinner.
Oh yes you do.
We don't need no breakfast, lunch, or dinner.
Well y'all gonna eat this breakfast.
We don't need no breakfast, lunch, or dinner.
Oh come on.
We don't need no breakfast, lunch, or dinner.
I'm not playing no. Come here.
We don't need no
Stop.
breakfast,
Stop.
lunch, or dinner.
Don't make me come in there no.
We don't need no breakfast, lunch, or dinner.
Stop. Wait a minute. Wait.
We don't need
Where
no
my belt
breakfast,
at?
lunch, or dinner. We don't need no breakfast, lunch, or dinner. We don't need no breakfast, lunch, or dinner.
All right, so we had some great predictions. We had what not to eat, healthy eating, unhealthy food, what to eat not too often. So this is a fun song between a father and his children. There are many activities to do now to follow through with this. And so the father is making his kids eat breakfast, lunch, and dinner, not the snack foods or the junk food. The kids want to eat the junk food. And so as parents, you can work through this song and some of the activities with your kids for a more healthy lifestyle. And you could also listen to some of the other songs as a family and do some of the activities together. Let's go on to the next slide. We don't have so much time, but there's a few more things that we can talk about. One is very simply pronunciation. Either alone or as a family, you can bring this up. This is called the color vowel chart. And the color vowel chart, if you're interested in it, you can go to americanenglish.state.gov and put color vowel chart into the search box. It's interactive, and so you could listen to something, and as a family you could repeat that and see who does the closest to the pronunciation. This picture that you see here is a picture of our mouth. Interesting, isn't it? But when you look at, for example, all the way in the top left-hand corner, green tea is the highest vowel sound that we can make in our mouth. Green tea. The lowest one will go to the other side, Auburn dog, all the way back here, Auburn dog. And so you can just help your own pronunciation if you're interested in that. And it's just a little break from regular game playing. All right, next slide. The last thing I want to talk about is something that Access students throughout Russia have done. And this is an activity that is in Create to Communicate. Create to Communicate, definitely the whole family can do this. Teenagers or younger children with their parents. There are so many crafts there, and then the lesson built around it to learn English. Let's go to the next slide. These are the different categories that they have, the different chapters. There's drawing, collage, sculpture, or mixed media. You can go through, you can see what you have in the house and which crafts you could do. So one that I did, again, throughout Russia with Access students all over. Access students are young students that I get the pleasure of working with sometimes. And if they're watching, they know who they are. We did a sculpture. And so the next slide has a lot of writing on it, which you can just skim through very quickly. This chapter is about reducing, reusing, and recycling. And so what we have on the slide is just the craft. But in the chapter, there's a whole lesson built around that craft that you can do about reducing, reusing, and recycling to help the environment. And so there are many of these bowls all throughout Russia. I made a bowl as an example, and I guess I made it so well that it's traveled thousands of miles with me, and it's still in good shape. I put my pens in it. It's in the office, so I don't have it here because I'm working from home. That's unfortunate. But the next slide will show you what it is. And so in the next slide, the slide with the pictures on it, A and B, you can see that this will take old magazines or old newspapers, especially those with colors in there. And you take a piece of cardboard and you roll it up, and then you put those rolled up papers together and maybe tape them together, and then you make a big coil out of that. And then from that coil, I saw some great students making works of art or just a simple bowl or even a pot. And mine, maybe I would say, is a pot that I can put pens in. But as I said, the instructions made me make it very, very well so that it's lasted thousands of miles from Moscow to Vladivostok and then back to Moscow again and up to St. Petersburg into Novosibirsk. So it was quite excellent. And it's the glue that I used at the end. So if you have glue around the house, then that will work. If not, you make it and then you just wait until you can go out and buy glue. There are many activities on there. All right, the next slide is our Facebook site. This is American English at State, and it's for all learners of English for even more ideas there. So American English at State, you can find many great ideas there. And the last slide has additional information to get a hold of us. Again, on Facebook, ELO Moscow, English Language Office, and then also American English. So thank you so much for your hour tonight. I'm very happy to spend it with you. I am open to any questions if you have any. And while we're waiting for questions, then I can tell you that americanenglish.state.gov, again, is free, all the materials on it. I've shared these materials with many people, again, throughout Russia, so maybe you've heard many of these before. Share them with your friends, share them with your families, and take pictures of you doing some of these and send it to us. That would be wonderful to see. All right, that is the end of my presentation. So if you have questions, then I can try and answer them. And if you're a teacher, then you might have to go back to online learning for your students. But if you're a student, I hope you're finished for the day. It's very difficult to be online all the time for online learning. I understand that. All right, so a lot of you are saying thank you, and thank you to you for taking your time out to listen. If you do have any questions, please, please, please ask them. But if you don't, then I hope that you have a great evening, and I hope that you play some of these games and some of these board games. All right, we have another comment coming up, I think. Oh, there's a question. Do I miss the center there? Absolutely. Every time I went back there, it changed and was more beautiful and wonderful, and everyone I met there is excellent. Yeah, I do, definitely. When I see pictures of the American space, the American Center, yeah, it brings back wonderful memories. So can I recommend online resources of grammar activities? So again, I didn't really touch on grammar. Grammar is taught through the games in Activate. That's very important. Also in Activate, I didn't talk about the word bricks, but those would include grammar also. There is on americanenglish.state.gov, when you search through things, you can specifically say you're looking for grammar. And so in magazine and in other publications, there is a lot on grammar that you can find. Maybe that should be another one. All right, we've got, is my daughter learning online? Yes, she is. She's younger, and so the autonomous learner is not easily come by her, but now after 3 weeks, she's much, much better at learning online. But here in Estonia, we're going on spring break soon, and so that's a little unfortunate. Those students who just got the hang of online learning then will be stopping for a week. That's unfortunate. Yeah, do I miss, well, no, do I miss people being isolated? I was outside and I was just walking and I met a friend and we made sure to stay far away from each other, but just talking to someone else who wasn't my family was very important. I love my family, definitely, but talking to other people, yeah, makes me realize that online is not the same as face-to-face. But I hope we have a few more weeks and then things will start to change, or a few more months and things will start to change. Hey everyone, I got cut off for a moment, but I want to say thank you so much for watching and so much for, I hope, enjoying the hour with me. I hope that you have a wonderful evening playing games with your or creating a new game to play that uses English. So thanks a lot for your attention, and I hope to see you very soon. Bye bye.